This might be an unpopular opinion, but you could not pay me enough money to go back and be 22 years old again. I mean, sure, do I miss the really tight skin, the metabolism that could eat anything, and the fact that I could sleep in till 11 a.m. on weekends? I mean, sure, of course I did. Who wouldn't? But I enjoyed being 37 a lot more. Let me explain why. Your 20s are a time of freedom and spontaneity, but they're also a time of uncertainty and figuring out who you are. Once you enter your 30s, and now I'm in my late 30s, you just become more content with who you are. You focus more on connections with your family and the people around you. I feel more grounded and more clear, and I just feel like I have more purpose. And I always say that I think that change is one of the purposes of life. I mean, certainly you are always you, but I do think that we are meant to grow and evolve. And I think sometimes that can feel kind of weird and unnatural because it feels like we're letting go of a part of ourselves. But I think that if you can sort of shift it to look at it as a positive instead, it's about not getting rid of your old self, but just making room for the new parts of you that are evolving. That really helps. And so as you move through your 30s, I'm going to share with you some things that you don't need anymore, that you can get rid of from your life to help make room for the newer versions of yourself. We're going to start in the closet. Come on. The reason that we're starting in the closet is because this can be one of the biggest culprits of having versions of your old self in it. So the first thing that you want to do is get rid of anything that just matches an old season of life and not the one that you're in anymore. Letting go of clothes tied to an old version of yourself can be surprisingly emotional. Our clothes are how we present ourselves to the world, and thus they're this kind of part of our identity. Purging old clothes can sort of feel like letting go of that. It can stir up emotions of that version of yourself no longer being around, the version where we had the body type where we can wear that, or when we used to live the life when we needed lots of clothes for going out or whatever it is. But it can also be extremely freeing to rid these items that are weighing down your closet and your life. So let me walk you through how I do this. So the first thing you're going to do is an initial sweep. I want you to get rid of anything obvious, any obvious outliers that you just don't need to think about. Next, hang back up just your 9s and 10s. So these are the items that you currently reach for right now, day after day, your current tried and trues. Think about the stuff you have worn the most in the last 6 months. And now you're left with just the maybes. So what I want you to do is pull out the just in case items. You know what I'm talking about. These are the ones that you're keeping just in case you finally have a fancy event that you need to go to, or just in case you finally get washboard abs or whatever. Put these in their own box. We'll deal with them in a minute. So with what's remaining, I want you to approach these items and say, would I buy this again if I saw it in a store right now? And if the answer is no, then is it even worth putting it back? Once you've approached each item this way, then I want you to hang up all the remaining items with your hangers backwards. Why are we putting our clothes back backwards? Because this is going to make it really easy for you to see what you're not wearing with what's left. So essentially what's going to happen is as you wear things and you wash them and you hang them back up, you get to put the hangers back the proper way. Anything that's not getting touched is going to become really obvious after a couple of months, or you can even wait a year. Anything that's still a backwards hanger is something you have not worn in that entire time. And so it becomes really obvious to you that this is probably not an item that fits your current season of life. And as for those just in case items, I want you to box them up and stick them out of sight. If they are just for just in case, then you don't need them in your actual closet, but you still have them just in case. Once again, if a year or so goes by and that just in case or event never arrives, you'll have a box of never used clothes ready to go to the donation. Okay, so as much as I would like to move on from the closet now, because honestly it's getting a little cramped in here, there's still a few items in the closet department that we need to talk about. Okay, so next I want you to get rid of any bras that don't fit. Listen, a lot is going to happen in your 30s. Maybe you had kids, which changes your body in a lot of ways. But even if not, I'm sure your body is not exactly the same as it was when you were 25. And if it is, you know what? Good for you. For the rest of us, it's time to get rid of our uncomfortable bras. You are a grown woman, according to society, and you deserve comfortable bras. And the same goes for underwear. The next one is jewelry. Remember bubble necklaces? Remember when a simple bubble necklace was all bubble necklace? Remember when a simple bubble necklace was all it took to just make your outfit the best? You had like stripes on the top and then cheetah print on the bottom and a bubble necklace. It was just chef's kiss. Anyways, my point is, if you still have bubble necklaces, you probably can let them go. And any other jewelry that doesn't fit your style anymore or you haven't worn in a year. And while we're on that topic, any shoes from an old version of yourself that you don't use anymore or don't match your lifestyle anymore, like if you got a pair of metallic peep toe pumps. Unless you're gonna start shopping at Charlotte Russe and going clubbing again, which I just don't know if that's in the future for you. It's not for me, maybe for you, but you can probably let those go. And the last thing while we are in the closet is cheap hangers. It is time to get yourself some proper hangers. It is not a big investment. You can get them for very affordable, and it just makes the closet feel very adulty as you are. All right, next up is kitchen tools, like from your first apartment. There's a good chance that you probably upgraded to add newer and nicer equipment to your kitchen over the years. So it's time to get rid of some of those duplicates that you've just been hanging on to. Not only are they probably kind of wobbly at this point, but again, you probably just have duplicates that are crowding up your drawers. So it's time to get rid of the old ones that you had in your ramen soup era and just stick to your new, nicer, better ones. Thought I was gonna be able to like stick that in there and then take a slick exit, but that's not quite how it went. All right, next up, we are going to talk about novelty drinkware. This is going to be that free water bottle that you got from a work conference, the Cancun shot glass that you haven't used in a decade, the cheap travel mug with the top that doesn't really fit, the branded pint glass that you got from that brewery tasting that one time. Keep the memories, lose the mismatched cheapy drinkware that you don't really use and just sits all the way in the very top cabinet and nobody ever touches it. Next on my list is just extra wires. And I don't even mean like unused wires, I mean extra, because you probably have a ton of wires that can do the same thing. I feel like nowadays most things are charged by 3 or 4 sort of universal chargers, whether it's like a Thunderbolt or USB-C or a micro USB, or I don't even know the names of them, I just know how they look. This one that's the really roundy one, and then there's the other one that the pyramids a little bit. Is that how everybody else refers to them? Anyways, everything that you have bought in the last decade probably came with its own charger, and you don't need to keep every single one of them. Keep a couple that can charge all of your things. And if you have some random charger and you don't know what it charges, you probably don't need it if you can't remember what it charges. And if someday down the road you find what it charges and you need to charge it, I can guarantee that you can buy that charger for like $10 online somewhere. So it's better to just like rid yourself of the random charger that probably belongs to something you don't even own anymore than to hang on to it for that just in case. If you are over 30, you deserve proper Tupperware. And I don't tend to say like treat yourself. The treat yourself mentality is one that I'm trying to get rid of. But when it comes to Tupperware, I think that maybe it's worth it. Buy yourself a nice set of matching food containers. I personally use the Rubbermaid Brilliance ones. I like the glass bottom because I find them more durable for long-term use. I've had them for years. I also have these restaurant grade ones that are much larger, and I use them for a ton of food prep when I prep like veggies or I make a bunch of chicken cutlets. Next on my list is outdated cheap decor from your first like apartment. We all had a live, laugh, love moment, okay? Or some mass-produced art of like a city skyline and sepia tones. Anything else that you might have grabbed from the home goods clearance section aisle because it was on sale. It has served its purpose. It has helped you make your first few places feel like home, but if it no longer reflects your current style or current life, it's all right to let it go. Old bags, purses, totes, we tend to hoard bags the same way that we pack underwear when we're going on vacation. Way more than a single human needs. And bags are tricky because they serve a purpose and they can sneak into our lives in so many ways that we easily end up with way more than necessary. If that purse has a ticket stub from more than 5 years ago, meaning it's been more than 5 years since you've used it, it's time to let it go. Totes that are past their prime. A good general rule of thumb is if you haven't used it in the last like 365 days, you probably don't really need it. Next on my list is hobby or craft supplies that you don't use. You know, like the yarn that you bought after you watched that Instagram reel and you were gonna start doing crochet, or the equipment from when you were gonna start doing some sort of like weird fancy yoga. That stuff you got when you were in your sourdough bread era and it lasted for a few months and now it's gone. We sometimes feel shame when we start and then end a hobby, like we failed or we gave up on it. But the truth is, it is fine to try out a hobby and then find out it wasn't for you. You're not meant to love every hobby that you try. If you tried a hobby and it didn't stick and the supplies have just been collecting dust longer than you care to admit, it is okay to free up that space. You're not a failure for changing interests, just wasn't the hobby for you. Next on my list is duplicates. At this point in your life, you have accumulated extra, I am sure. 2 can openers, 5 screwdrivers, 3 different nearly identical pink lipsticks. Sometimes having a spare is nice, but often most of our spares are kept as just in case situations, but rarely do we ever really need 5 screwdrivers. I mean, you only got 2 hands. How much are you gonna be screw driving. Most of our extras is just stealing space, and most of the excess is old, low quality, or they've seen better days. Keep your favorite and donate the rest. There's a really good motto for this when you're doing this. Think about the best, the favorite, and the necessary. This doesn't necessarily mean keeping 3 because they often overlap, but ask yourself which of these duplicates are your favorite, which are your best, which one is necessary, and then use that to help you narrow it down. Next up, old makeup and skincare. There is a good chance that you are hanging on to some like random makeup that maybe you just don't wear anymore. Do you really need glitter eyeshadow from when you went through your like glitter eyeshadow phase? Did you go through a glitter eyeshadow phase? I definitely went through a glitter eyeshadow phase. Anyways, at this point, I'm wearing the same 3 lipsticks all the time. I have my like 2 or 3 skincare products that I like. So do yourself a favor and just get rid of the excess. I can tell you how freeing it was when I took all of my random makeup and now I can keep all of makeup just in a single makeup bag, like everything I need. It's just so much easier, and I don't need all the excess that I was using in my 20s. All right, my friends, that does it for this video. Some of the things that I think it makes sense to let go of as you go from your 30s into your 40s and beyond. To infinity and beyond! I hope you are having a fantastic day. I appreciate you coming here, and remember to be kind to yourself and others. I will see you in my next video.